Okay, we're done here. What's up guys, it's David, and today I'm reviewing the debut album from D.R.A.M, Big Baby D.R.A.M. D.R.A.M is a singer who I haven't paid that much attention to in the past. I've mostly just heard him on features. A lot of people compare him to Chance the Rapper, and that's actually one of the things that I like about this album is I think he does a good job of separating himself from Chance the Rapper. I don't think anyone can hear this album and compare it to any of Chance's work, so I think that's definitely a good thing. The album opens with the track Get It Myself, which is just a very short song. It has some nice spacey synthesizers, and I thought D.R.A.M gave a really great vocal performance on here. It's a very passionate delivery, and he shows that he has a good vocal range. The track Misunderstood featuring Young Thug has production that definitely has a lot of rock influence. There's this nice piano lead, some great bass playing during the verses, and these electric guitars that explode in during the chorus. Young Thug doesn't really add too much to the track, but he doesn't take away that much either, and this is probably one of my favorite cuts on the album. The track In a Minute in-house is split up into two parts. In a Minute just has these very sparse drums and this plastic echoey vocal sample, and I have to say the production is very repetitive and it kinda gets boring fast, but I did really like D.R.A.M's melody and flow on here. I like the second half of the track much better though. In-house it has a very spacey atmospheric vibe. It has very deep bass, some wavy synthesizers, and trap-influenced percussion. It does kind of drag on a bit because the first half is a little boring, but I will say it's one of the better cuts on the album. The first track on the album though that I really just thought was kind of meh was Monticello Ave, and I actually really liked how this one started off because D.R.A.M is actually rapping on here, and his flow is very reminiscent of Andre 3000's flow. The way he stutters and stretches out some words, when you hear this verse, you hear Andre 3000. So it may not have been original or anything, but it was nice to hear. But after that, I found this track got kind of boring. The production is very sparse, just some drums and a keyboard. And then when the production does get more extravagant near the back end of the track in a couple sections, when these roaring synthesizers and these loud hi-hats come in, the mixing gets really muddy. At least that's what it sounded like for me. It sounds like every piece of the instrumental is trying to sound louder than the other parts. It just sounds really shoddy, so I definitely wasn't a fan of that. Then there's the track Wi-Fi, which features Erykah Badu, who of course gives a great vocal performance, but the track as a whole wasn't really digging it. The production is pretty boring, and there's these bass plugs that just sound really cheap and rubbery. I didn't really like those. And D.R.A.M on here just sounds really off. I don't know if he was just singing poorly or if he didn't match with the instrumental or a bit of both, but it just doesn't sound that good. Overall, I just wasn't feeling this track. If you ask me, they should have called this track No Wi-Fi, because it just doesn't connect with me. Oh, come on guys, that was a good one. No, now I'll see myself out. The quality picks back up again though in my opinion with the song Cash Machine. This is just a really fun, catchy pop R&B tune. The production has a really great punchy piano melody, and there's a sound effect of a cash machine laced throughout the instrumental, and I find a lot of times with hip-hop when artists try to make a sound effect part of production, it just doesn't work at all. Like a gunshot or a car alarm or stuff like that I've heard other places, and it just sounds really bad. But I actually really like the usage of the cash machine sound on this track, and I also think this is one of D.R.A.M's best vocal performances on the album. So this was definitely one of my favorite tracks, and so was the song Cute. I love the really light, modest synth keys in the production, and I love D.R.A.M's really high-pitched vocals on the hook. If you're just listening to the production and the hook, this song just has a very innocent feel. It's very catchy. It seems like the content is just going to be very lovey-dovey, but there's actually some really weird stuff in here. I hope that D.R.A.M is just being jokey on here and is kind of making fun of other artists whose love songs all sound really clingy and creepy, because with lines like this in his song, I really hope he can't be serious. So I think he's being sarcastic on this song. I just think he maybe could have done a better job of framing the lyrics so I knew for certain that he was joking on here, because as long as I think that he's not being serious, I can enjoy this song a lot. But every now and then I kind of think, well, is he joking or is he not? And I hear lines like this and I'm kind of like, I don't really know. But I think most of the time I can shrug it off, because I think otherwise it's a really great song. But after this we kind of get another decline in quality. The song Out of Sight, Dark Lavender is another two-parter, and the first part is okay. It has these very techno synths. It has a very defined, steady groove, and the chorus is pretty catchy, although it does feel kind of bland, like I've already heard this 100 times. But it's not that bad, especially when compared to the second half of the track, which is so dreadfully dull and so dreadfully boring that this is probably my least favorite song on the album. This second half of the song is just basically these really quiet organs or keys playing. There's parts where it's just a skit of him talking to a girl on the phone, and the rest is him just giving this really drowsy vocal delivery. It's fucking boring as hell, man. This album is already pretty long for what it is, so I think this track should have definitely been left off. I wasn't big on the song Change My Number either. The instrumental is very cluttered. It sounds like it doesn't know what kind of song it wants to be. And in the first verse, when D.R.A.M is doing a really slow delivery, I don't think it matches the instrumental whatsoever. And then the song Password, again, it's just very dull. The production is very hollow. It's just these slow, choppy, plodding keyboard chords. There are these very prominent drums, but they don't make the track any more exciting. So for that stretch of 3 songs, Out of Sight, Dark Lavender, Password, and Change My Number, the album gets really boring, and I'm glad it picked back up a bit with 100%. It's not the most exciting song, but D.R.A.M brings a nice energetic flow. I like the elegant piano on here mixed with the more trap-influenced percussion. And then after this is the closing song, Sweet Febreze. And this is one of those songs that when I first heard it, I was like, oh yeah, I've heard this a million times before. Just a very low-key, smooth R&B song with a swing drum rhythm. But after you listen to it a bunch of times, you really start to feel the groove of it. And D.R.A.M's more relaxed vocal performance is different than what he was doing on every other song on the album, so that was kind of cool vocally. But at the end of the day, this is one of those projects where it's more just like a collection of songs than an actual album, if you know what I mean. Like, you could pluck any one of these songs out of here and it wouldn't make a difference whatsoever. There's nothing that really ties these songs together, like even a common tone sonically. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes you need albums like this, but when there's a lot of weak songs in the track listing, there's no reason for me to ever go back to listen to this front to back. There are definitely some really good songs on here that I might return to, but as a whole, the album was just decent. And let me also say that the weak songs definitely should have been cut instead of replaced, because this album did feel very long. Because when you get an album like this that's just filled with pop R&B tunes, and there's no coherence between the tracks, 52 minutes can feel really long, when all the songs are also very repetitive in themselves. Like I said, not necessarily a bad thing, just when you put them all together, it kind of drones on. So I give this album a 3 out of 5, but what did you guys think about it? Leave your thoughts down in the comment section below, and thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.